Hi there. Today we're going to discuss Chapter 3, Lesson 2, Add Integers. Objectives for today, we're going to add integers. The vocabulary you need to know for today are opposites and additive inverse. Add integers with the same sign. To add integers with the same sign, add their absolute values. The sum is positive if both integers are positive, negative if both integers are negative. Okay, so example 1, positive 7 plus positive 4. We're going to add their absolute values. So 7 plus 4 is 11. Since they're both positive, the answer is going to be positive. Again, negative 7 plus negative 4. You're going to add their absolute values. So 7 plus 4 is 11. Since they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. I'm going to show you how to do these problems with and without a number line. So our first one is negative 5 plus 7. So we're going to start off at 0. We're going to move over to negative 5. So this is going to be negative 5. And then we're going to move left negative 7 because it's a negative number. So we're going to end up at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So this ends up going minus 7. So we end up at negative 12. So negative 5 plus negative 7 is negative 12. Now the other way that we can do that is by adding their absolute value and then giving this answer the same sign as the addends. So 5 plus 7 is 12. Since they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. Here's example B, again on page 204. So we want to start off with negative 10, so we're at 0. We're going to move left to negative 10. And then the negative here is going to tell us that we have to move left. So moving left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we end up at negative 14. Again, if we're going to do this with the absolute values, you would add their absolute values. So 10 plus 4 is 14, and since these are both negative, the answer is going to be negative. Here's our third example, negative 14 plus negative 16. So we're going to start at 0. We're going to move to the left 14. And then we're adding a negative 16, which means we're also going to be moving left 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we end up, after we go negative 16, at negative 30. Okay, again, if we're going to do this with the absolute value way, we're going to add their absolute value. So 14 plus 16 is 30, and since they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. Okay, now we're going to move on to adding integers with different signs. To add integers with different signs, we're going to subtract their absolute values. So if they're different signs, you're going to subtract instead of add their absolute values. The sum is positive if the positive integer's absolute value is greater. Negative if the negative integer's absolute value is greater. Okay, so 9 plus negative 4, since they have different signs, one is positive, one is negative, you're going to subtract them. So 9 minus 4 is 5. And we have more positives, so the answer is going to be positive. Here's another example, negative 9 plus 4. We have a negative and we have a positive, so we're going to subtract their absolute value. So 9 minus 4 is 5. Since we have more negatives, the answer is going to be negative. Okay, so let's do our first example using the number line first. We're going to start off at 0. We're going to go positive 6, so we're going to move 6 to the right. And then it says plus a negative 7, which means we're going to have to move left 7 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We end up here at negative 1. Okay, and again, if we're going to do this with our absolute values, we notice they have different signs, so we're going to subtract them. So 7 minus 6 is 1, and we have more negatives, so the answer is going to be negative. So if we're looking at our number line, we took more steps to the left than we took more steps to the right, and that's why the answer is negative. Here's another example, negative 15 plus 9. Okay, we're going to start at 0. We're going to head on over left to 15, negative 15. And then our next step is to add a positive 19. So we're going to move to the right 19. So we're going to start at negative 15, move over all the way here to 4. Okay, so the answer is going to be 4. Again, we're going to use our absolute values, two different signs, so let's subtract them. 19 minus 15 is 4. We have more positives, so the answer was positive 4. Here's example F. It is on the bottom of page 205. We have negative 10 plus 12. So we're going to start off at 0. Positive 10 says let's move to the right 10. And then the negative 12 means that we have to move to the left 12. So I got 10, 11, 12 all the way over here. So where do I end up? I end up at negative 2. So we're going to do our absolute value way. Okay. They have two different signs. One's positive, one's negative. So let's subtract them. 12 minus 10 is 2. I have more negatives, so the answer is going to be negative. Here's example G on page 205. Negative 13 plus 8. So we're going to start at 0. We're going to move all the way left to negative 13. Okay, and then plus positive 18 means we're going to have to move to the right 18. So we're going to move right. That's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this is plus 18. So we ended up at positive 5. Okay, again, let's add our we'll do the absolute value way. We have two different signs, subtraction and addition. So, I'm sorry, negative and a positive. So we're going to subtract them. So 18 minus 13 is 5. We have more positives, so the answer is positive 5. Now this is going to get a little tricky because we have three numbers, and the rules that they gave us only involved in adding two integers at a time. So we're going to have to take this step by step. So our first step, we're going to start at negative 14. So let's move on over to negative 14. Then we're going to add a negative 6, which means we're still moving to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we move left, negative 6. And then this positive 6 here means we move to the right 6. Sorry. And we ended up back at negative 14. Okay? And you could have done this a number of ways. Most notably, that I would have first looked at was this right here. This negative 6 plus positive 6. These are called opposites. And whenever you add two opposites together, the answer is actually 0. So negative 14 plus 0 equals negative 14. Okay? Here's our last example. The temperature is negative 3. An hour later, it drops 6 degrees, and 2 hours later it rises 4 degrees. Write an addition sentence to describe the situation, then find the sum and explain its meaning. So this is a multi-part question, and whenever we have these, we have to make sure we answer all the parts. So first thing we have to do is write an addition expression. So we start off at negative 3. An hour later it drops negative 6. So that means we're going to add a negative 6. 2 hours later, it rises 4, so we're going to add a positive 4. Okay, now all we have to do is add. So that's part 1. Part 2 is we're going to have to add. So negative 3 plus negative 6, these have the same sign, so all we have to do is add their absolute values. So 3 plus 6 is 9, and then since they're both negative, the answer is going to be negative. And I'm going to bring down my plus 4. And then I'll notice here, negative 9 plus 4, they're two different signs. So let's go ahead and subtract their absolute values. So 9 minus 4 is 5. Their bigger absolute value is negative, so the answer is negative 5. So we found the sum, and now we just have to explain the meaning. And the meaning basically just means that the new temperature is negative 5 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. So again, all we did was write an expression, we solved it, and we said, what did the -5 mean? Well, in this problem, the -5 means the new temperature is -5 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, hope that video is helpful. Thank you. Bye.